Destiny 2's next expansion, Beyond Light, is going to bring with it some of the biggest changes to Destiny since the original game launched. And the most notable of these big changes is the new element called Stasis. So in this video, we're going to talk about what Stasis is on a broad level, we're going to talk about some of the ways Stasis is going to change the game, and how Stasis sets the groundwork for the future of Destiny 2's current subclasses. But before we go any further, my name's Dan, and I love talking about Destiny 2 and other video games as well, so if that's what you're into, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. But anyway, let's talk about what Stasis is. That's why we're here, right? Stasis is an iced theme element that is being added to Destiny 2. Each Guardian type is going to get a new subclass that represents Stasis, and with that, each Guardian is going to have their own role with the element. Stasis is all about crowd control in Destiny 2. And this is very interesting because this is the first time a subclass has been focused on crowd control. The Night Stalker does have its bow, but I'm not sure if that's the kind of crowd control we're talking about. The entire subclass of Stasis is going to focus on keeping enemies controlled, frozen, and then ultimately destroyed. And that already speaks volumes about what Beyond Light is and what it's going to bring forward as challenges in the game, as well as how we're going to traverse the landscape. So let's quickly go over a quote from Bungie's post about Stasis and talk about it. By commanding Stasis in Beyond Light, players will have access to new powers that change their approach in a fight. In combat, Stasis can manifest in multiple ways, including freezing and slowing opponents, creating crystalline stasis structures, and even shattering foes and combatants. This range of options gives players more ability to control large-scale fights than ever before. So that last line, to control large-scale fights more than ever before, we're going to be fighting even more hordes of enemies in Beyond Light. There's just going to be droves and droves of them, and we're going to use Stasis to fight them back. And I think it's really good that we're getting all these crowd control elements. It's going to change the way the game works on a broad level and make opportunities for Bungie to attack us with hordes and hordes of enemies like never before. Europa is going to be a big plain of ice, so it would actually surprise me if there weren't just seas of enemies coming after us all the time. And if I'm being honest, Destiny 2 could use a little bit of a change up. I mean, we're very used to the 3 existing subclasses and their elements, so to have Stasis in play, a new thing to learn for everybody, it'll be a breath of fresh, frozen air. So beyond all the combat changes, I think Stasis presents a new way for us to traverse the landscape in Destiny 2. In a lot of the gameplay, we're shown these grenades that create ice walls and also ice pillars that come off of a ledge to create a platform, which then leads me to believe that we're going to be able to make jumping puzzles a lot more simple. This is good news because nobody really likes a jumping puzzle in a first-person shooter, but I commend Bungie for continuing to try to make the jumping puzzle work as much as I lose at them. What I'm saying is, hopefully the jumping puzzle will be a little easier, or on the other side of the coin, now that we have more ways to create platforms for ourselves and get around, what if they're harder? What if this is Bungie's way of saying, hey, now you've got more abilities to jump around, so we're gonna make jumping puzzles even more difficult? The possibilities are endless. Hopefully it's the former and we can just do jumping puzzles with ease, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a timing mechanic involved in jumping and then throwing a platform of ice. It's probably going to be the case, so let's just look forward to that and settle on it. And finally, let's talk about aspects and fragments on Stasis. Now, in my opinion, this is the most important part of the subclass, as well as probably Beyond Light, because aspects and fragments will likely be added to the other subclasses, but before we get too far into that, let's talk about what they actually are. Aspects are a major modification to your subclass. They act as a way to change major components of the Stasis build and give you your own spin on how it should work. Aspects are going to be a really cool way for us to play around with builds and figure out what we really like about Stasis. As of right now, subclasses are really simple, which is good. You know, it's nice to have fewer options. Sometimes you just want to play the game, but they are very simplified. And if you're a player who's looking for a little more complexity, which I think is something Destiny players really want right now, you don't have a lot of options to create your builds. You're relying on your armor mods and your exotic armor to really give you a different playstyle. But now we can create a playstyle using Stasis's aspects as well as fragments. And fragments are passive perks that get applied to your subclass. While they're not as impactful and big as aspects, they're probably going to be a great way for you to get a little bit of an edge in combat, really mess with your build, and again, figure out something that works for you. But in the end, I don't think 2 Stasis builds are going to really look the same because it's going to be catered to the player, and that's very RPG of Bungie. And I'm excited to see how this evolves over time, I'm excited to see what aspects get released over time and how this plays out. And more importantly, I'm excited to see what this means for the existing 3 subclasses that Guardians already have. Down the road, it's very likely that the other subclasses will get aspects and fragments or some form of aspects and fragments. Maybe it'll have a different name for each subclass, but this is basically how Destiny 2 is going to work in the near future. We're going to have updated subclasses that let us really customize our experience and create builds that Bungie didn't even plan on. We're going to take our exotic gear, pair it with an aspect, throw a couple of fragments on there, and that's my character. This is going to be my playstyle and how I want to enjoy the game. It's going to be really fun to compare builds with people. I think all of this is very exciting, and I'm sure we're going to start to see builds get posted online. Here's my best build for getting through this quest or whatever. And this is the kind of community involvement I think we're looking for in Destiny 2. It's in a lot of other games, and this is going to really bring it over the top for Destiny, I think. So we're still a couple of months away from Beyond Light actually launching, but I am more excited than ever to play it. How do you feel about Beyond Light? Are you excited for what's coming down the pipe? Are you excited for Stasis? I know I am. Let's just say that I'm frozen with anticipation. Anyway, if you like this video, do me a favor and like the video. It's a great way to let me know that you like the video. If you'd like to chill in the comments, then do me a favor and get down there and leave a comment about Destiny 2 or Stasis. What should I cover next on this channel? Any of that. And if you really like what I'm making, it would be ice if you subscribe to this YouTube channel. It's the best way to let me know that you like what I'm doing, and if that includes the puns, I'm sorry. But above all else, and most importantly, thank you for spending your time with me today. It's your most important asset, and you use some of it to let me talk your ear off about Destiny 2. And for that, I'm very grateful. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, stay cool. And it's a cold pun. You get it? Because Stasis is all about ice.